One. I've shown, this is the extreme case where firm B gets notes, okay? There's another case, which I'll show over here. Let's just think about alternative relations between firm B and the bank, just to introduce two other concepts here, okay? So let's just keep our timing. So this is step 1, this is step 2, and this is step 3. And I suppose this is step 4 down here. So I'm talking here about alternative forms of step 2. So I'll put them at the same level here. Okay, still, firm B is still going to get rid of the bill. But it may be that the bank, instead of paying out notes, pays out by expanding his balance sheet. If firm B is willing to accept a deposit instead of notes. If the bank doesn't want to get rid of its notes, or maybe it doesn't even have any notes, okay, if the firm is willing to accept deposits at the bank as a means of payment, okay, this is a way to do the discounting, okay, without using any notes. You can economize on your notes in this way. If the firm is willing to accept deposits instead of notes. Remember, deposits are promises to pay notes. They're not notes themselves, but perhaps you would accept that, conceivably. So this is a way of economizing on the note issue. But it's still confronting the bank with some liquidity risk, right? Before, by getting rid of the notes, well, notes are the most liquid thing, and now you don't have them anymore. Here, you have more deposits, and this person, presumably, they discounted the bill because they wanted to spend this money. So they're going to spend it, and they may transfer it to somebody else. Now, if they transfer it to another customer of the bank, no problem. You just do it all on your book, right? But if they transfer it, to France, okay, you're in trouble, okay, because you're going to have to come up with notes, and there's more down that road, which we're going to see. There's going to be gold, there's going to be all kinds of stuff. Okay. So, but in the short run, this can be an economizing measure. And you can see it's different from the notes in terms of the kind of liquidity risk, but it still does involve liquidity risk. There's a second way of doing step 2 that involves economizing on notes. In this case, it may be that firm B, okay, instead of discounting, says, it also realizes the advantages of holding this bill to maturity. Maybe he doesn't need actual money right now. He says, you know what, if I take it to the bank, I'm actually getting paid less for my goods, right? I'm getting paid 95 instead of 100. If I hold this to maturity, I get paid in full, so there's an interest there. And if I don't need the money right now, I would just as soon hold on to that bill as an earning asset. But I better be careful because maybe I'm going to need the money. So let me take this to the bank and make the bank endorse this bill so that they're standing behind it. They're promising to pay this bill in case firm A doesn't, and that will make the bill much easier to sell if I ever need it. So if I need cash, the bank will stand behind this, and this will help. It's not just firm A's signature on this, it's now the bank's signature on this. And so that there's a separate thing called an acceptance. And I'm writing that as an asset of the firm and a liability of the bank. This is actually a contingent liability, right? And it's a contingent asset. And what it is a liability. This is for the bank saying, if firm A doesn't pay, I will pay. Okay? So it's a guarantee. If firm A doesn't pay in 90 days, I will pay. So in essence, the bill becomes a 90-day bill on this bank. It's like a time deposit, right? It's like saying, it's like you have the bank's promise to pay you in 90 days. And so this acceptance is actually, physically, the way this worked in the 19th century, this acceptance is actually a signature. And it says accepted with the banker's signature on it, okay? But I'm writing it as if it's a separate little piece of assets. So it was right on the bill. The bill was a physical thing, okay, with description of the goods and everything, and a legal document, enforceable in court and that sort of thing. And it was an acceptance. You write across it accepted with the name of the banker. I'm writing it as a separate balance sheet entry just to get us ready thinking of it as a separate thing, because in the modern world, it is a separate thing. In the modern world, this is an early form of a credit default swap. If they don't pay, I'll pay. So this also obviously is economizing on notes, this second thing, this acceptance, because it allows firm B to say, you know what, I'd rather not have notes, I'd rather have a time deposit, I'd rather have an earning asset. So you don't need as many notes. So both of these things, the first one, paying out in deposits, allows, the bank doesn't have to pay out notes because the bank can keep them by expanding its balance sheet. In the second case, it's firm B that it doesn't require the notes, doesn't demand the notes. Okay, so the question is, the bank is doing this as a favor, or does it cost? It costs something. Yes, yes. In order to make the balance sheet simple, I'm not putting all the prices in here. But just as the discount here, I'm putting this bill of exchange in all these three places. Okay, but the price is different. When you're selling this bill, it's at 95, say, okay, instead of 100. I said that. Okay. Now for this acceptance, you're going to be paying. Firm B will be paying the bank some fraction of the total of the bill, okay? It's like an insurance premium, okay, that you're paying. It just won't be as much as they would have paid in the discount. So it's a guarantee of the final payment. It's not an investment for 90 days. So it'll be 1% instead of 5% or something like that. So yes, there's a payment. There's a payment there. And this can be a profitable business, so long as you are good at judging whether firm A pays. Because if firm A pays, you don't have to pay, and you just got money for nothing. These are contingent liabilities, and so they may expire at worthless. Okay, if firm A pays, you got money for nothing, and that's a good business. Now, typically, these things, you know who firm A is. The typical problems that firms run into is not that they are unable, not that they just default or something, that they're bad guys, because they're known to the bankers. It's that they don't sell their goods, so they don't get the note, so they can't pay. So there's some delay in payment. The typical problem that bankers are worried about is not outright default, but delay. Okay, that's a liquidity issue.